Hey, I'm back. I decided to do another case knife video. Since the last video I did, I've added 4 different patterns to my case knife collection. I think I mentioned that my goal with that collection was to eventually wind up with at least one of every pattern that Case makes, and you know, that they fit my interest in various ways. You know, handle material, theme, you know, age, you know, stuff like that. So let's take a look at these knives, and after that I'm going to show you a few knives that I used to carry. I think I mentioned in that first video that I didn't always carry case knives, and so I've got some of those knives I'll show you, and we'll take a look at those. So let's take a look now. Okay, first one I want to show you, I picked this up over in Tennessee, near Gatlinburg, I think Sevierville, over at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I was over there this past summer, and I had to stop in that store, and I saw this knife in there. I just had to have it. It's pretty cool. It's a Hawk Bill Pruner. It's a red bone handle, and you can see that blade there. It's got a Confederate flag on there. It says "The South will rise again." And the shield, the case shield, is actually a Confederate flag. I thought that was pretty cool. It goes along with some of my other Confederate themed knives. If you check out my other video, you'll see those. But it's just a, you know, more of a novelty, something to have, just to look at and just talk about. But, so that was the first one that I added to my collection since the last video. That's a red bone handle Hawk Bill Pruner. Next up here we've got this blue jigged bone handled Coke bottle, and this one I got at the same place over there at Smoky Mountain Knife Works. If you haven't been there and you're a knife enthusiast, get over there, because they've got about every kind of knife, or, you know, that you can imagine. They have a huge selection of case knives and of vintage case knives over there. You know, a lot of antique case knives in that store you can look at. But anyway, this is a blue jigged bone Coke bottle. This goes along with my more patriotic themed knives that I have. Like I said, you can check out my other video, you'll see those. This says "We the People" on the blade, and it has an eagle flying there, and a American flag. It also has the American flag case shield right there. I hope that focuses in well enough where you can see it. But this is not a locking knife. I guess a lot of people see it and they think that's just a big locking knife. It's not. It's just a regular old slip joint. It is a pretty big knife. It's a lot bigger than you would anticipate it to be if you'd seen the Coke bottles in catalogs and never had held one. It's a pretty good size knife. But blue jig bone Coke bottle. Next here, this is a case elephant toe. It's got a jigged wood handle. I'm real proud to add this one to my collection. It's an 8-dot. This is a 40-year-old knife, made in 1972. Still in great shape. I think you can probably see a little bit of a scuff on that blade right there, where the liners inside here have dragged on that blade when it's been closed. Other than that, it's never been carried. It's an awesome shape. Just couldn't ask for anything better than that. I mean, I buy brand new ones that have a scuff on the blade by the time you get them home from the liners. So one that, you know, just has one little scuff in 40 years, I say that's a pretty good knife there. And it is really a big knife. I don't know if you can see that in my hand real well, but I don't just have a real small hand, and you can see how big that knife is. But it's a pattern that I've been wanting for a long time, and they're always pretty expensive, even brand new. I found this one, and it was about the price that you would wind up paying for a brand new one. And like I said, it's an 8-dot. You know, it's a 40-year-old antique to boot, so I think I got a good deal on that knife. The last one I want to show you here, it's another one I'm real excited to have. It's a really pretty knife, I think. This is a Case Cheetah Cub. This one has elk horn handles. It's made in 2005. It was a Case Collectors Club knife. I think you can see the CCC shield right there. That's Case Collectors Club. Has the pinched bolsters, as you can see the line that's been, the groove that's been pinched in these bolsters here, and they're real bright, shiny bolsters. They got a high polish on them, and it really goes well with that elk horn. Really good looking knife. Like I said, it's a Case Collectors Club knife. I think it was I know it's a 2005. I think it was a fall catalog promotional exclusive. It's a numbered knife. It's number 141. I've got an email sent in to the Case historian trying to find out how many of these knives were made. I'd like to know if that's 141 out of, you know, 5,000 or 141 out of 200. I don't know what the production number was on that, but if any of you out there know, just drop me a line in the comment section. But like I said, I've got an email into the Case historian. I think she can tell me. This knife comes in a display box. It's real pretty. It's any of you that are familiar with the Cheetah Cub knows that this is a lockback knife. It's got a pretty sleek, slender design to it. Just a nice knife. Like I said, I'm glad to add that one to my collection. I'll move on to a few of the knives that I used to carry before I started carrying a Case. Currently, I'll carry some version of a Case Stockman. I've always preferred the Stockman pattern, but like I said, I didn't used to carry Case. I carried Schrade knives, old timers, and Uncle Henry's, and before I discovered Case, I guess. But they were pretty decent knives. These that I have right here were all made in the United States. They don't make them in the U.S. anymore, so I will not ever buy another one. They're all made in China. But let's take a look at these. This one was given to me actually by an old friend of mine. It had quite a few miles on it when he gave it to me. You can tell that blade has been sharpened a few times. Let me tell you what, you can shave with that. And that's it's a little lockback knife. Got the locking mechanism right there in the center. You see that right there? That's where it locks. That's a old timer by Schrade, USA. These next two are small Stockman. They're Schrade Uncle Henry's. Actually, I always like the handle better on the Uncle Henry, and I like the blades better on the old timer. But that's a small serpentine Stockman. Like I said, these knives have been used and abused. They've been carried. They've been, you know, lost on pond banks, rattled around in my tackle box. Just anything you can have. You can cut drywall with them, whatever, you know, whatever I needed them for, I used them for, and they hung in there. And now that Schrade's not made in the U.S. anymore, I've basically just kind of retired these knives, throw them in a drawer, and hang on to them, because there's just going to be fewer and fewer of these U.S. made ones out there. Here's another Stockman. You can tell this one here has been through it. It's missing the blade tip. That blade tip is somewhere at Fort Hood, Texas, stuck in the floor of a barracks on North Fort Hood, if those old shacks are still over there. I carried this one for a long time. But the other one was a serpentine Stockman, and had a slightly different blade configuration. You can see the difference in that main blade there. This one's more of a traditional style Stockman. It's, you know, kind of squared off. Got the bolsters are kind of squared off on the ends. But once again, that's a small Stockman made by Schrade under the Uncle Henry brand. Next one, I got this big lockback. That's the sheath for it right there. It's a Schrade Uncle Henry. Once again, I always liked that handle on those Uncle Henrys, but the blades were a little harder to sharpen, but it didn't quite hold the edge that the old timers did. That's just a big lock back. It's a lot like the Mako that Case has. Just a little fixed blade hunting knife. It's an old timer made by Charade. That knife I was never really impressed with it. It didn't ever really hold a good edge. You could work on it, and you finally get it sharp, but by the time you did anything with it, it was over. Didn't hold an edge. But I'm gonna hang on to it. It's a US made Charade. I'm gonna hang on to that one. There's another Charade knife. This is a much larger hunting knife. This one's made back in the 70s. This knife belonged to my dad, and it's been used a time or two. It's skinned fish, it's skinned deer, you name it, it's done. This knife was here's the sheath for it. You can see on that sheath stamped in that leather, it says 49ers. It was some sort of a commemorative knife put out. I guess just maybe they put one out for all the football teams, I don't know. That one says 49ers on it. Never really looked into what the deal was with that being a 49ers knife, but those are just some of the knives that I've carried other than case knives, and I want to share those with you. I don't carry any of those anymore. And the last thing we'll take a look at here is this CASEXX folding machete. It was issued to our soldiers during World War II. I believe it was mainly issued to Marine Corps and some of the Army Air Corps. Not 100% sure on that. If you want to correct me, go ahead. But this is just a big folding lock back machete. I'll show you. I guess it was made to fold just to so you could have more room to carry it with your gear. It's made by, let's see here if I can get that to focus in, CASEXX USA. I think that's in New York. Laying here next to it, this is the blade cover. And that's what it looks like with the cover on and all folded up. It's much more compact. Pretty cool machete. Something for me to hang on to there. That was actually given to me by the guy who gave me that little old timer lock back. He gave me this too. Good friend of mine. He's a brother in my Masonic lodge, and he's just a good friend. I appreciate him giving me those two knives. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Basically just wanted to showcase those 4 new patterns that I got, and next time I get a few more, I'll make another video, and I'll see you then.